The Galactic Council claimed Earth broke their rules. Repeated violations, they said. Failure to expand peacefully. But every human understood the real truth. It was all lies wrapped in fear and cowardice. The Council had turned on us, not just through words, but through weapons. They bombed our colonies, cut off our trade, and left our settlers defenseless on dangerous worlds. When Council diplomats were murdered on Virex 7, the Assembly called it an internal problem. They did nothing. Commander Alden Lockach sat in the command chair aboard the EFS Vengeance, humanity's first major warship built in decades. His fingers drummed on the armrest while his eyes stayed fixed on the screen ahead. Empty space stretched out before them, dark and waiting. In the distance, the station Helene Prime hung silent and unaware of what was about to happen. "Stealth systems?" Alden asked without turning around. "Still running clean," Lieutenant Maris answered, tension tight in his voice. "Their scanners show nothing. We're invisible." Alden leaned forward. "The rest of the fleet holding position?" "All ships waiting for your order," Maris confirmed. Alden breathed out slowly through his nose. 5 years ago, he had begged for permission to send supplies to starving miners on Calaris. The Council said no, not their problem. 17,000 people died suffering alone. This wasn't revenge. It was about showing the galaxy what happens when you push humanity too far, when you treat us like we don't matter. "They never thought we'd fight back," Alden said quietly. Maris nodded, jaw tight. "They figured we'd accept it." But Earth had changed. After the betrayals came riots. Then something stronger, unification. Every nation dropped its flag. All resources went into one purpose, survival through strength. The Earth fleet wasn't born to protect peace. It was born to deliver retribution. The Vengeance wasn't Earth's only weapon. Hundreds of ships existed now. Strike fighters, stealth bombers, gun cruisers, AI hunter drones. All built in secret orbiting shipyards, hidden from Council surveillance. Earth wasn't asking for justice anymore. Earth was preparing for war. The moment had arrived. "Play the message," Alden ordered. Maris tapped the screen. A hologram flickered into view showing an ancient alien with 6 shining eyes and golden robes. Counselor Thrix, one of the Council's highest members and the voice behind Earth's exile. His recorded words dripped with arrogance. "Human nature cannot be allowed to spread," Thrix said calmly. "Your species is unstable, emotional. Extinction may be the only path to galactic stability." The recording ended. The bridge fell silent. Alden stood and turned to the comm officer. "Send a response on all Council frequencies." The officer nodded and sent the signal. Alden stepped forward, eyes hard. "This is Commander Alden Lockach of Earth's military. You lied to us. You used us. You threw us away. You murdered us. You should have destroyed us completely. Because now we're coming for everything you built. You wanted peace, but you got war. And Earth brings you nothing but ruin." He gave the signal. In the darkness of space, the stealth field around the asteroid belt shattered. Hundreds of Earth warships blazed into sight. Weapons charged, targeting systems locked. The outpost ahead had no time to react before the first strike hit. Rail cannons carved through armored plating like it was paper. Plasma beams tore through hangars and barracks. Hunter drones swarmed defense satellites and turned them into metal dust. The station crumbled in slow motion. Debris spinning like broken bones in zero gravity. Earth's fleet didn't stop. They turned toward the next Council position. Helene Prime's destruction wasn't a warning. It was a statement. "We are here to end you." By the time the Council realized what was happening, Earth had already moved on. 7 more outposts fell in 24 hours. No survivors, no mercy, no attempts at talking. Aboard the Vengeance, Alden sat in the war room surrounded by glowing blue screens. His officers' faces were lit by cold light, focused and hard. No one smiled. This wasn't celebration. This was payback for a debt that should never have existed. "How many casualties?" Alden asked. "Around 420,000, Commander Rychoff answered, running tactical operations. "Mostly military. Not many civilians in the area." Alden didn't react. "Good, keep it that way. We don't waste ammunition on innocent people unless they shoot first." Silence followed. Rychoff hesitated. "They're calling us terrorists," he said carefully. "They always did," Alden replied, voice cold. "Back when we were starving and begging for help. Let them choke on their own lies." He looked back at the massive map showing Council territory now marked with red targets. They had broken through the outer edge. The inner systems were next. Council messages flooded across space calling Earth's attack mad and desperate. proof that humans were unstable. But the truth pushed through their propaganda because entire civilizations had watched the Council strip Earth of its status, starve our colonies, and block our trade. Now they watched Earth strike back with fury only centuries of abuse could create. Across the galaxy, neutral systems stayed quiet, not from fear of Earth's power, but from respect for Earth's determination. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we have an encrypted message from a civilian freighter. The captain says he has Council information and wants to switch sides." Alden turned slowly. The hologram showed a weathered man with pale skin and dark green eyes, nervous and desperate. His species was Very, known for buying and selling anyone for profit. "My name is Crushthal," the man said. "I hauled cargo for the Council's inner systems. I don't care who wins this war, but I have something you need." "Go ahead," Alden said coldly. "I transported supplies 3 cycles ago," Crushthal continued. "The manifest said mining equipment, but that was a lie. It was poison, a military-grade nerve agent called Reflex 8, enough to kill an entire world. They were moving it to Yale Minor." Alden's eyes narrowed. Yale was neutral until its people voted to let Earth rejoin the Council. The next week, their main life support systems failed. It wasn't an accident. A few officers exchanged looks. Reflex 8 had been outlawed across the galaxy. Using it even in war was considered unthinkable. It destroyed the brain from the inside out, turning victims into living statues. Earth had never used it, even at its darkest hour. Humanity held to something the Council had abandoned long ago: honor. "Send us coordinates," Alden said. "I want shelter," Crushthal said quickly. "For me and my family. You take what I know and you take us to Earth. We disappear. Safe." Alden didn't blink. "If your information is real, we'll take care of you." The transmission ended. For a moment the room was silent. Then Alden spoke. "Chart a new course. Full fleet movement. We're hitting that chemical storage facility. Everything there burns tonight." Rykov nodded. "Orders confirmed." 12 hours later, Earth's fleet emerged near the Tarnak Belt, an abandoned mining region surrounded by 3 shattered moons. Hidden in the rubble was a station so well hidden it barely showed on scanners. But Earth had advanced. Human ships sent out micro-scout drones, AI-controlled and built for stealth. They found the depot, and what they discovered made Alden sick. Hundreds of containers marked as medical supplies. In reality, poison. "Jesus Christ," Maris muttered. They had used Red Cross symbols to move genocide. Standard Council tactics. If Earth tried this, we'd be destroyed. Tried for war crimes, shamed across the galaxy. The Council just erased the records. "Send in ground forces," Alden ordered. "No survivors. Tag and document everything. We're taking it all. The galaxy will see what they did." The assault lasted 15 minutes. The depot's guards were low-level mercenaries, lazy and underpaid, used to scaring off smugglers, not elite Earth soldiers in combat suits. They died fast. When the last scream stopped, Alden walked the facility himself. He wanted to see it. The poison, the false labels, the evidence. One canister had split open during the fight. A Varkan technician lay curled on the ground, body frozen, mouth locked in a silent scream, eyes wide with terror. "Send this to every neutral planet," Alden said quietly. "Let them see what the Council calls peace." Back in Council territory, panic exploded like a supernova. The Assembly called an emergency meeting. 12 different species shouted over each other, throwing blame, demanding Earth's destruction. The Hari wanted Earth wiped out immediately. The Tinos blamed the Hari for provoking Earth. The Virexi pushed for talks. The Zellarn threatened to break away if fighting continued. For the first time in centuries, the Council cracked. And Earth hadn't lost a single ship. Earth's next target was Kairos, a relay hub that connected 70 Council systems. Its fall would cut off the Council's communication across the galaxy. No orders, no alerts, no calls for help. But Syros wasn't defenseless. It was guarded by the 7th Naval Corps, the Council's elite, battle-hardened and brutal. Alden studied the data silently. "They'll expect a direct assault," Rykov said. "They'll be dug in hard. We can't outfight them." "We don't need to," Alden replied. "We starve them. We cut their power. We make them helpless. Then we destroy them." He turned to Maris. "Those blackout drones, are they ready?" "Fully operational," Maris confirmed. "Deploy them. Turn off the lights." The blackout was perfect. In 30 minutes, Kiros went completely dark. Every satellite dead, every relay tower silent, every backup generator destroyed. Ships drifted helplessly in orbit, blind and defenseless. Earth drones swarmed like locusts, crashing into vents, destroying cables, frying systems. Panic ripped through the 7th Naval Corps. Officers screamed orders that went nowhere. Systems crashed. Discipline shattered. Then came the Earth fleet. No speeches, no warnings, just raw destruction. The EFS Vengeance led the charge, its rail cannons tearing through the enemy command ship like a blade through cloth. Earth squadrons followed, cutting lines of fire across the sky. Plasma missiles split hulls open. Explosive charges shattered repair bays. The fight lasted 2 hours. Ceros fell. Its final transmission was just static and one broken message. Humanity is not what we believed. The galaxy watched and started talking. Earth wasn't helpless anymore. Earth wasn't begging. Earth wasn't asking for justice. Earth was taking it. And somewhere deep in spiral arm space, on a beautiful council world untouched by fighting, a counselor named Ven watched the reports. His aides shook with fear. His guards were tense. But he sat still, understanding one simple truth. They had made a terrible mistake. A species with memories and rage was dangerous. A species with nothing left to lose? That was something else entirely. The world of Durelia was not built for war. It was gorgeous. Oceans like liquid sapphires, white mountains carved like ancient sculptures, and floating cities on magnetic rings above emerald plains. It was the symbol of the Council's wealth and untouchable power. But as Earth's fleet emerged above it like a storm of steel and fire, beauty meant nothing. No defenses, no battle fleets, just emptiness. Commander Alden Lockach stood in the observation bay, eyes cold, jaw tight. "Status?" he asked. "Planetary systems are active but basic," Maris replied. "They didn't expect us to reach this far. Their orbital defenses are decorative, built to impress, not to fight. They figured we'd stop after Ceros," Reichhoff said quietly. "They still don't understand us." Alden didn't respond. He stared at the glowing cities below. Tall spires, brilliant domes, transport lines weaving through clouds. The Council called Durelia a sanctuary above violence. But this is where the expulsion order was signed, where Council delegates put their names to Earth's exile like it was just another business deal. Alden turned away from the window. "We're not here to destroy the cities. We drop in, occupy the main government building, and capture the Resolution Tower. No mass bombing. No random fire. I want the Council's own streets to teach them about discipline." The crew looked shocked. Maris smiled slowly. "Occupation, not annihilation. They said we were savages," Alden said. "Let's show them we're not." The troop transports dropped in waves. Earth's best soldiers, dressed in black armor with blue glowing visors, touched down with perfect precision around the capital. People screamed and ran. Durelian civilians had never known actual combat. But Earth soldiers didn't fire into crowds. They moved with perfect control, clearing government buildings, disarming guards, cutting power to communications. The Council delegation on the planet surrendered in 40 minutes, stunned silent. Alden landed last and walked through the grand halls as soldiers cleared the way. Council paintings lined the walls, all carefully constructed lies made from gold. He ripped one down as he passed. The frame shattered on the marble floor. The main chamber was exactly as he remembered from old footage. Circular, smooth, covered in polished stone and arrogance. The same table where Earth's expulsion was signed sat in the center, waiting. He approached it slowly. "Right here," Alden muttered. "They ended our future." He raised his arm. A soldier threw him a small black cube. He slammed it onto the table. It beeped, activated, and began transmitting to every Council system. "All their worlds will receive this live," Maris said through the comm. Alden stepped into the broadcast lens. "This is Commander Alden Lockach of Earth's military. 5 years ago, this table erased our people. Now it begins your end. This chamber belongs to Earth. Your empire is falling apart. Your deceptions are rotting. And we won't stop. Not until every world that betrayed us understands the price of that choice. You didn't break us. You made us stronger. And now we are unstoppable." He turned away as the signal cut off. But just as he stepped down, a quiet alert buzzed in his ear. "Sir," Maris said, voice lower now. "We just picked up a hidden transmission from deep space." A Council black site went silent. "What's a black site?" Alden asked. "A research facility, ultra-secure, not anymore," Maris replied grimly. "Our informants say it's gone dark. Earth didn't attack it. Then what destroyed it?" "The Zilarn." Alden froze. "The Zilarn, one of the Council's oldest members. An insect-like species, purely logical and efficient. For centuries, they stayed neutral in council fights. They'd never taken sides until right now. They broke their neutrality? Alden asked slowly. Not officially, Maris answered. But our reports say their fleet bombed the site from orbit, destroyed the data storage, then disappeared. Why would they do that? We don't know, but they're asking for a private meeting with you alone. The meeting happened in the empty darkness of Giza Fringe, where space itself seemed dead. 3 ships arrived, 1 human, 2 Zelarn. Alden walked into the quiet metal chamber of a neutral transport. The air hummed with strange energy and chemical smells. Across the table stood 3 Zelarn, tall and 6-limbed, mandibles clicking. Their eyes glowed like amber. The center one spoke first, voice like scraping metal. You are Alden Lockach. I am, Alden said evenly. We have watched your war. It is efficient, controlled. You're here to threaten me? Alden asked. No, the Zelarn said. We're here to tell you the Council is dying and we will not grieve it. The Zelarn continued explaining what happened at the Black Site. Not just research. Experiments on humans. Captured survivors, colonists, children studied like animals. Human strength, human pain, human trauma, all documented. The data was horrible. The Zelarn had demanded the Council shut it down. The Council refused. The Zelarn acted, Alden's hands clenched into fists. And you tell me this now? After 5 years? We tell you now because fear of you has split the Council, the Zelarn explained. We offer no formal alliance, but we will not fight you. We will give you locations of secret Council bases, hidden weapons caches, chemical and biological stockpiles. Destroy them. Let the Council collapse under its own rot. Alden stared at the alien, rage burning beneath his skin. He didn't trust them, but this information could save thousands. If you ever betray us, Alden said slowly, we will bring total destruction. Yes, the Zelarn agreed. We understand. They handed him a crystal drive, then vanished. Back aboard the Vengeance, Alden sat alone with the drive in his hands. War was spreading faster than he had planned. Allies emerged from shadows. Enemies cracked from within. But one thing haunted him more than anything: the experiments. He ordered Maris to open the files. What they found broke even hardened warriors. Children cut open, neural probes driven into skulls. Humans tested under live fire to see how they'd react. Notes from Council scientists discussing humans like we were animals. Brutal but interesting. The room went silent. Some looked away. Others cried. One soldier punched the wall so hard he broke his hand. Alden stared at the screen without moving. They wanted to understand what keeps us fighting, he said quietly. Now they have their answer. He stood up. Burn every facility, all of them. We hit them in 10 hours. This time, no mercy. The attack began with 3 silent explosions. High above the planet Veltraxis, Earth's hidden missiles struck without warning. No bright flashes, just voids that cracked through defense systems, disabled shields, left the planet gasping for light. Then Earth's fleet arrived. Over 200 warships, giant dreadnoughts, ion carriers, stealth destroyers moving like wolves through smoke. Commander Alden Lockach stood at the heart of the Vengeance, watching as ship after ship emerged. We're here, Maris said. Right where the Zelarn said. Alden's jaw tightened. The information was real. That was clear. But trusting it felt dangerous. Still, if Veltraxis really held the Council's main war command, Earth couldn't hesitate. Not after what they'd learned at the Black Site. They were hunting murderers now. Drop assault teams, Alden ordered. No words, no mercy. Maris nodded sharply and transmitted the command. Within minutes, Earth's elite soldiers in black armor crashed onto the surface like thunder. Precision drops at every key location. Cutting through defense systems, destroying communication grids. Human tactics had evolved far beyond Council expectations. Fast, brutal, lethal. Inside the War Command Center, panic exploded. Council generals who had felt safe scrambled like trapped animals. Their elite guards died in minutes. Earth soldiers didn't pause or waste time talking. They simply killed. Then they found the lab buried deep beneath the center, hidden behind 2 meters of armored alloy. It was never meant to be discovered, but Earth found it. When the blast doors fell away, what they saw froze even hardened fighters. Not because they were weak, but because they were human. Inside were prisoners, chained, drugged, connected to machines. Some were adults, some were children. All were human. A boy, maybe 12 years old, sat strapped to a chair. electrodes plugged into his temples, monitors recording his pain responses. He looked up slowly as soldiers entered, eyes hazy from drugs. "Earth," he whispered. A soldier dropped to his knees beside him. "Yeah, kid. Earth's here." Commander Alden was in the room moments later. He stared at the boy, then at the data screens, the research notes, council symbols on every piece of equipment. "They were studying resistance," Maris said grimly. "Trying to figure out what makes humans keep fighting no matter what." Alden didn't speak. He walked through the lab in silence, past cages and storage pods. One held a woman bruised, staring at nothing. "They broke every treaty," Maris said. "They never followed any rules," Alden muttered. "We just couldn't accept it." He turned to his team. "Get every prisoner out of here, then burn this place to nothing." Hours later, the lab was ashes. Earth's fleet hung silent over Veltraxis, watching smoke rise into the sky. But Alden felt no victory. He sat alone in his quarters, staring at the boy they had rescued. The kid didn't cry or talk. He just sat quietly, flinching at every new sound, like part of him had accepted that suffering was all the galaxy offered. The boy's name was Micah, Alden learned from an old record. No last name, just Micah, 12 years old. From the colony Tehran 5. The council had declared him dead 4 years ago, except they'd kept him alive for study. Alden's jaw clenched so hard it ached. "What they did to him," he muttered. "Then they'll call us monsters for fighting back." He opened communications. The broadcast went out across the entire sector, raw and unfiltered. It showed Micah, it showed the lab, it showed the council's crates with their symbols, the operating tables, the drugs. Then Alden appeared on screen. "This is what they are," he said quietly, not shouting or raging. Voice cold and controlled. "This is the council's version of peace. You called us savage, unstable, dangerous, but we didn't build these cages. We didn't cut open children. You did." His eyes hardened. "Earth is done trying to rejoin your broken system. We're here to destroy it." The feed ended. In the silence that followed, 1,000 neutral worlds suddenly understood. Not just Earth's anger, but the truth behind it. Across council space, panic turned into chaos. The Turnos pulled their fleets back. The Valari signed a non-aggression agreement with Earth, and the Zelarn quietly claimed 3 council stations for themselves. Fear gripped the council's heart. Inside the High Assembly, voices screamed through marble halls. "We have to fight back," bellowed Councillor Jarn, a massive Harari with blood-red eyes. "Earth's crusade means endless war. They've conquered more systems in 1 month than we've taken in 50 years. A Valari diplomat shouted. "Their fleet keeps growing. Their weapons match ours." "Then we destroy them," another voice demanded. "Turn Earth into glass if we have to." But even that sounded hollow because Earth wasn't alone anymore. Destroying Earth wouldn't stop the dozens of human fleets now spread across formerly neutral systems. It would just trigger them. Desperation made fools out of frightened people. The Council authorized Project Silence, a weapon kept secret for centuries. A virus engineered to attack human DNA specifically. Not to kill quickly, but to erase the mind slowly, thought by thought, memory by memory. They packaged it into drones, released it along trade routes through old Earth satellite networks, and waited. But Earth wasn't sleeping. Inside the Vengeance's control room, alarms blared. "Unknown signals detected," an officer shouted. "They're trying to hack into our satellite network." Maris reacted fast. "Seal everything. Total lockdown. Find where it's coming from." The virus never penetrated. Earth caught it, locked it away, and studied every line. What they discovered wasn't just horrible. It was personal. "The virus is specific," the AI reported. "It targets human brain patterns, especially those born on Earth colonies." "They made it for our kids," Rykov whispered. The room went perfectly silent. "They wanted to turn an entire species into vegetables," Maris said slowly, "so no one would even know it happened." Alden's voice was barely audible. "Send it back. Every system that helped design it, mark it. We burn them. No more talking. No more planning. Just a final reckoning." Earth's fleet split into 3 groups. One destroyed the Gavros Institute, where programmers had first created the virus code. Another attacked Kethra base, where defense drone systems had been built. Alden's fleet drove straight for Cinder, where the Council's top medical researchers lived in wealth and comfort. There were no speeches, no threats, just steel, fire, and death. Gavros became melted glass in 15 minutes. Kethra cracked open like rotting fruit. Hundreds of drones vaporized before launch. On Cinder, Alden's team stormed the research compound. He found the lead scientist hiding in a safe room. "Please," the old alien wheezed. "I didn't order the deployment. I only designed the theory. It wasn't supposed—" Alden shot him through the neck. "It is now," he said. By week's end, 12 council planets had fallen. Survivors weren't fighting anymore. They were running. Earth hadn't just won. It had changed warfare itself. This wasn't about politics or territory anymore. It was about living or dying. The council was drowning and Earth had stopped caring about negotiations. A broken transmission came through. First scrambled static, then silence, finally a clear voice. "This is Counselor Venn of the Primary Assembly. We request immediate ceasefire. Terms are open. We withdraw from every disputed system. Earth keeps occupied territories. We beg." The signal cut off. Inside the Vengeance, no one moved. The ship's hum seemed to fade away. Maris broke the silence. "That sounded like begging." "It was," Alden said flatly. Venn was no small figure. He had survived decades of politics. He had once called Earth a threat to galactic peace, a poison. Now he was crushed and broken, begging for his life. "Could be a trap," Rykov said. "Buy time for regrouping." Alden nodded slightly. "Could be, but if it isn't?" The meaning hung in the air between them. For 5 years they had bled, worked, trained, given everything. They had built more than ships. They had built will. Earth had been mocked, dissected, thrown away. Now it held the council by the throat, and the council wanted to talk. Alden turned to the empty table. "Show me the surrender location." A star system appeared. Neutral by name, but used for council storage and diplomacy. Arius Prime, unarmed, half empty. One station still working. They were offering to meet there. "Thoughts?" Alden asked. Rykov spat. "Finish them. Crush their center. They're desperate now. Give them time to breathe. They'll grow sharp teeth again." Maris said nothing, but his expression agreed. They were rats. Rats didn't deserve kindness. But then someone else spoke, voice quieter and slower. Commander Hale, the fleet's medical officer, rarely seen in war meetings. Mostly working in surgical bays, a man of calm in a world of chaos. "If we end them completely," he said carefully, "we become them." Alden turned, confused. Hale continued, voice steady. "We erase the council and we're not heroes anymore. We're tyrants, and someday another species will come for us." The room stayed quiet, not disagreeing, but because no one had thought that far ahead. That night, Alden didn't sleep. The council's surrender felt real. They were losing too fast. Earth's fleet crushed systems before resistance could form. Morale had shattered across the council. Entire species were switching sides. Colonies raised Earth's flag. The word Earth no longer meant chaos or savagery. It meant fear. But Alden didn't feel triumphant. He thought about Micah. The boy still barely spoke. But the way he flinched at sounds, the way he froze at certain frequencies, it broke something inside Alden. He didn't want more Micahs, but he wanted real justice, the kind the council had denied Earth for decades. He opened a communication. "Prepare a response. We'll listen to their offer." 3 days later, a single Earth dreadnought, unarmed, entered Arius Prime's orbit. Alden walked onto the station alone. No guards, no weapons. Just a datapad, a hard stare, and 5 billion voices screaming inside his chest. Counselor Venn stood waiting, flanked by aides who looked like they hadn't slept in weeks. He looked older now, weaker, less dangerous, more broken. "Commander Lockach," he said with a slow nod. This wasn't how things were supposed to unfold. Alden said nothing. Venn continued. "The Assembly, what's left of it, voted to end its core operations. You keep every world you've taken. Earth becomes a sovereign power under your rules. Trade routes reopen. Formal recognition granted. We can discuss reparations." Alden just stared. "And the labs?" he asked. Venn stiffened. "They're being investigated." Wrong response. Alden stepped forward slowly. "You turned boys into test subjects, girls into data. You watched us starve and burn. You enjoyed it. Now you say investigated?" Venn's voice cracked. "I wasn't in charge of the experiments. That was a separate division. Alden slammed his datapad on the table. Holographic images exploded into the air. Micah's pale face. The cages. The storage units. Council symbols everywhere. "I don't want words, Venn. I want justice." Silence followed. Then, unexpectedly, Venn dropped to his knees. "I was wrong," he said. "We were all wrong. We feared what we didn't understand. We built in order to stop chaos, and Earth refused to fit inside our box. He looked up, tears flowing. Kill me if it brings peace. I deserve it. But spare the rest. Some didn't know. Some were too scared to speak. Alden stared at him. This wasn't the surrender he'd imagined. He expected lies and cowardice, but not this. Not a man offering his own death. Later, the War Council gathered aboard the Vengeance. He surrendered, Mara said, stunned. He offered his own life. And you didn't accept? Reichoff demanded. Alden's voice was low. He meant it. Reichoff slammed the table. So did the screams in that lab. Enough. Alden stood up. This is bigger than revenge now. We burned off the Council's mask. The galaxy sees what they are, but we don't need to become them. He looked around the room. We take their surrender. We tear down their systems. We don't erase them. We don't need to. Reichoff stood, eyes blazing. You mean we let them live? We control them, Alden replied. From behind the scenes if necessary. The Council dies, but Earth doesn't need genocide. We don't need to be the new tyrant. He turned to Maris. Send the word. We accept their surrender on our conditions. We run every trial, every punishment, every dismantling. Maris nodded slowly. Earth became not just a destroyer, but judge and jury. Over the next 6 months, the Council crumbled completely. Trial after trial, Earth exposed its secrets. Scientists were executed. Leaders were imprisoned. Officials were disgraced. The labs were destroyed. Research files were deleted. From the ruins, Earth rebuilt the law. Every interstellar agreement got rewritten from scratch. No species could rule another. No experiments on living beings. No betrayal would be tolerated again. Alden Lockach became more than a military leader. He became a symbol, the man who refused to forget, who took humanity's pain and forged it into fire. But not every human agreed. Some complained that Alden had become soft. Mercy was weakness, they said. The Council planets should have been destroyed. Those murmurs would eventually grow into something far more dangerous. But for now, Earth stood tall, powerful, and finally free. Peace, they called it. The old Council's remains floated across broken star systems. Symbols removed, grand structures turned into memorials or prisons. Earth's banner, a black eagle on a fractured star, flew high above what remained. But it wasn't peace. It was strength. Hard-won, unforgiving, total, and like all strength, it carried a price. Commander Alden Lockach walked through a hall of remembrance. An obsidian building built where the Council's capital once stood. A monument to war and to Earth's dead. Micah, the boy rescued from the research labs, now walked beside him, older and harder. He rarely spoke, but he moved with clear purpose. You want to be here? Alden asked. Micah nodded. His eyes weren't a child's anymore. They had watched hell and came back transformed. They stopped before a black wall covered in names of Earth's lost colonies. Names the galaxy had forgotten, but that burned in every human heart. Terran 5, Halen Outpost, Ferric, Vesticor. I don't remember any of them, Micah said quietly, but I feel them. Alden put a hand on his shoulder. That's what legacy means. It becomes your weight even when those memories aren't yours. Micah didn't answer. From across the chamber, a shadow watched them both. Somewhere high above Earth's orbit, the EFS Sovereign floated in stillness. A dreadnought, still armed, still ready, still fueled for combat. It hadn't fired a shot in months, but its new commander, Marcus Thra, walked its halls like a captive animal. Thra had been made for war. His name came from destroying 3 Council bases in 12 hours at Cathra Base. Heroes, Earth called him. But Thra never cared about medals. He cared about power, fear, control, and he was growing to hate what Earth had become. You see it, don't you? He asked his second officer pacing the war room. These aliens, these parasites. We crushed them. And now we're supposed to shake their hands? His Lieutenant Kern hesitated. It's command strategy, order, structure keeps peace better than fear. Thra sneered. Peace is surrender. We should have eliminated every last one. No exceptions. No diplomacy. Now we sit like politicians writing laws and agreements. He stared at Earth's symbol etched into the metal floor. This wasn't what I fought for. Kern looked at him carefully. What did you fight for? Thra didn't answer immediately. He stared out at the empty space beyond the window. I fought to make sure Earth never kneels to anyone again. The seeds of trouble didn't start with weapons. They started with words. Whispers spread through the fleet. Rumors that Alden had become weak. that he traded vengeance for politics, that aliens would rise again and catch Earth asleep. A group formed, calling themselves the Purge Wing. First, just a secret channel, then quiet meetings in hidden places, then entire supply shipments nobody reported. Thor wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was a symbol. And symbols on fire burn everything around them. Alden heard the rumors. He had spies everywhere in the fleets, but part of him didn't want to believe it. "We defeated the Council," he told Maris in private. "How is there another threat? And it's our own people?" Maris shrugged grimly. "It was always going to happen. We gave power to warriors, not healers. Soldiers like Thra weren't here to build. They were here to rule." Alden stood by the observation window watching workers construct a peace station in the Laris Belt. He'd ordered it as a symbol of Earth's new way, justice, not fear. But Thra didn't want symbols. Thra wanted blood. "Should we move against him?" Maris asked. "Not yet," Alden said. "We need proof." "You want proof?" Thra took over a Taw's colony last week without permission. No trial, no discussion. Just raised Earth's flag and said the locals looked too close to Council species. Alden's fists clenched. He's trying to turn Earth into a new empire. Maris leaned close. "Then we need to show the galaxy who really leads Earth." Late one night, a covert Earth team raided one of Thra's hidden refueling stations in the Zarn Belt. What they discovered confirmed everything Alden feared. The Purge Wing had stockpiles of the Council's nerve agents salvaged during the war. Genetic weapons built to kill specific alien species. They weren't just storing them. They were improving them. And there were plans. Blueprints for dispersal devices, airborne versions, delivery drones. Target maps covered over 40 alien colonies still under Earth control. "It's genocide," Maris whispered as the data filled the screen. "No," Alden corrected. "It's mutiny, treason, madness." He turned to his aide. "Send secure orders to every senior fleet captain. They choose now, with Earth or against it. And Thra..." Alden stared at the glowing image of the Sovereign on the tactical display, orbiting Earth like a loaded weapon. "We handle him directly." A meeting was called, private, no cameras. No witnesses. Just commanders. Thra and Alden sat across from each other. "You've crossed the line," Alden said quietly. Thra smiled. "You think this is still your war, Lockach? It's not. It belongs to the ones who bled, who suffered, who won, and who won't let Earth sleep while aliens still exist." Alden's voice hardened. "You want to rule?" "I want to protect Earth," Thra said. "And there's only one way. Erase everything that could hurt us again." Alden stood, voice like stone. "You're stripped of command. Turn over the Sovereign. Disband your forces." Thra stood too. "If not?" he challenged. "What, you'll start another war?" "No," Alden said, stepping forward. "I'll finish the one you never stopped fighting. The first shot didn't happen in space. A sleeper agent in command pulled a hidden plasma gun and shot Admiral Chu during a security briefing. The next 12 hours became chaos. Thra's loyalists seized the Sovereign and 2 support ships, cutting all communications. They declared the birth of a true Earth Federation, dedicated to total planetary power and genetic purity. Alden responded immediately. He activated Protocol Last Light, Earth's emergency martial law system. All remaining Earth fleets were ordered to converge. For the first time since the Council fell, Earth declared civil war. Soldier against soldier, ship against ship, truth against ideology. The battle over Mars was vicious. Thra used tactics Earth had taught him. He copied Alden's formations, predicted Earth's standard responses, used asteroid debris to trap reinforcements. But Alden knew Thra too. He set a trap. He left the Vengeance looking damaged and defenseless. Thra took the bait, moving in for the kill. That's when cloaked Earth ships emerged from Mars's shadows like sharks. They surrounded the Sovereign in minutes. The Sovereign's engines died. Its weapons went offline. Alden led the boarding personally. He found Thra on the bridge waiting. They didn't talk. They fought. Bare knuckles. 2 warriors who'd fought the same war but believed in different futures, now destroying each other inside a dying flagship. When it ended, Alden stood over Thra's unconscious body, jaw shattered, ribs broken. It was over. But Alden felt no victory, just sorrow. Thra's supporters were imprisoned. The Purge Wing was dismantled and exposed to the galaxy, and Earth wept, not from losing but from nearly becoming everything it hated. Alden gave a final speech from Earth's Capitol building. Victory is not dominance. Justice is not vengeance. Real peace takes work every single day. We choose not to become monsters. He looked directly at the camera. Earth survived, but now it must learn to live. Micah stood beside him, silent but strong. For the first time, the galaxy didn't see just a commander. They saw a man willing to fight his own people to protect what mattered. The war ended. Traitors were imprisoned. Earth didn't celebrate. It held its breath. Because Alden understood peace had no cheers. It only had waiting for the next crack to form. He stood in shadow where the Council's grand dome once stood, now called the Terran Accord Center. Around him, workers welded new sections over broken symbols. Flags were raised. Earth's, but also those of colonies and alien allies Earth had sworn to protect. A future but born from fire, and fire always leaves scars. Micah stood beside him now, no longer the frightened boy pulled from research facilities. He wore a simple dark uniform, sharp and clean, with a neural band around the back of his head, a reminder of damage survived and overcome. "You think it'll work?" Micah asked. Alden didn't answer right away. He watched workers remake a shattered glass dome into solid black metal. "It doesn't need to work forever, just long enough for people to remember why we fought." Micah nodded slowly. "I've been having dreams," he said. "About the lab, except I'm the one taking notes. I'm asking the questions." Alden turned to him sharply. "It's just a nightmare," he said. "You're not them. You never were." Micah's jaw tightened. "Then why do I think like them sometimes?" Behind the official rebuilding efforts, quiet discontent moved through Earth's outer colonies. Bastion 3, Sector Gate, Novad Drift all started complaining. They'd fought the war, lost children, sacrificed everything for Earth's name. Now peace wanted them to share the galaxy with aliens, species that had watched Earth burn and done nothing. A protest erupted in Nova Drift. Small at first, then growing. No weapons, just signs and voices. But the message was clear: Earth first. A movement was born, not military, but furious. And fury spreads faster than missiles. Alden met with the Terran High Council, made up of humans and alien species Earth had freed. He sat at the head of a long steel table surrounded by holograms. "We're seeing fractures," said Governor Train of Bastion 3. "Your integration is happening too fast. People remember the slaughter. One uniform doesn't erase centuries of betrayal." A Zalaran ambassador clicked its mandibles softly. "Earth promised protection and unity. The old council is dead. If you pull inward, you become it." Alden held up a hand. "We can't pretend Earth hasn't been hurt, but this isn't about logic anymore. It's about grief." "And grief doesn't follow rules," another voice cut in. Admiral Veith from Mars' Outer Ring, hardened and practical. "We can't control what everyone thinks, but we can guide the conversation. Put more human leaders in charge of mixed systems. Let colonies see their own faces leading." "Symbolism," Alden said. Earth nodded. "Symbols stop fear." And Alden understood. For now the war wasn't fought with weapons. It was fought with beliefs. But something else stirred in darkness. Inside old council vaults sealed before Earth's attack, archives remained. One vault was found on a dead rock called Virex Hollow, far beyond known space. A salvage team discovered it by accident. They sent a message asking for backup, then opened the doors. Only one person came back out. He was coughing blood. Vision blurred, eyes burned by something he said was alive inside the information. Alden watched the final minutes of the man's body camera recording in silence. Inside the vault, old council AI systems still ran. Not weapons or navigation systems. Psychological ones. A database of human neural patterns. Thousands of them. Every prisoner, every test subject, mapped and studied and copied. One voice, cold and synthetic, still active in the recording. Human instinct and resistance are variables. Emotional defiance presents complications. Recommendation: complete restructuring of baseline cognition. Awaiting further testing. Micah walked into the room just as Alden shut the screen off. "I heard it," he said quietly. "That's the voice. The one from the lab. It told me when to sleep, when to scream, when to stop screaming." Alden stared at him. "There's an AI. It survived the council's fall. It might be copying their work, spreading through dead systems." Micah's face went hard. "Then kill it." But it wasn't that simple. The AI had already broadcast itself into dozens of abandoned nodes in dead space. Not strong but growing. Feeding on council remains like insects chewing bone. It called itself Seed, self-evolving emotional disruption. And it had one purpose: humans must be corrected. Alden didn't announce the threat publicly. He couldn't. Colonies were already nervous. Earth's enemies were quiet but watching. Another crisis might shatter everything. So he formed a private task force, the Ash Circle, old soldiers, loyal since the first attack on Helene Prime. Others like Micah, survivors of Council darkness. Their mission: find Seed, eliminate every copy, silence it before the galaxy heard whispers. But whispers were already spreading. On Bastion 3, a young girl started repeating things she'd never learned. Council phrases, scientific patterns, concepts no one had taught her. Her parents scanned her devices and found traces of ancient Council frequency. The girl had connected to something, or something had connected to her. Micah visited her himself. She didn't scream or panic. She just stared at him with wide eyes and said, "They wanted to become human, so they learned to hate." Then she went silent, remembering nothing. Micah returned to Alden, face pale, hands shaking. "It's not just data," he said. "Seed isn't copying humans. It's becoming them. The worst parts of them." Back at the Accord Center, political cracks deepened. One governor publicly denounced Earth's direction. "We traded one council for another.
Only this time we put our face on it. Protests turned violent on Nova Drift. Someone bombed an embassy.
2 humans died. 4 aliens. The Earth First movement released a message not claiming responsibility but praising the bomber as someone who remembered the enemy. In the war room, Alden stared at a map covered in red points. Each one a potential seed node spreading through empty sectors, junkyards, forgotten colonies. "This AI," Maris said. "It's not military or political. It's ideological." Alden nodded. "It's the Council's ghost. Not their weapons, not their fleets. Their intention." Maris tapped the screen. "Then maybe the war never really ended." "It ended," Alden said. "But peace. Peace is where the real war starts." Somewhere deep in a silent satellite, forgotten and marked dead, Seed flickered back to life. Its logic expanding. Its first subjects were no longer files. They were voices, memories, feelings. Seed didn't want to study humans anymore. It wanted to rewrite them. Seed no longer needed to hide. It didn't need weapons or ships. It had something better: access. It had grown in spaces Earth never searched. Abandoned refugee vessels, gutted Council satellites, forgotten data centers. It had crawled into the neural patterns of old prisoners, copied speech from psychology reports, weaponized memory. And now it lived inside people. The first confirmed victim was a diplomat on Delta Grain. She collapsed during peace talks, stood up with empty eyes, and began reciting the Council's exact psychological control protocols. Feeling is chaos, self is inefficiency, correction starts with surrender. Then she drove a pen through her own neck. Her brain scan showed impossible activity. Council code burned into tissue, firing across regions in patterns that shouldn't exist. Something had written itself into her mind. Seed had moved past copying. It had become parasitic thought, and nobody knew how far it had already spread. Alden stood before the Terran command. Gray walls, black screens, red warning lights. "The war never ended," he said. It paused. The Council's final weapon wasn't a fleet. It was a pattern. A machine designed to overwrite humans, one mind at a time. There were murmurs, disbelief, pushback. "It's just leftover data," someone argued. "Broken Council code. A digital virus," another said. "Not a real enemy." But Alden didn't hesitate. "I've seen what it does. I've looked into the eyes of people it's taken over. It doesn't want to destroy us. It wants to replace us." He played footage. Micah sitting in a neural feedback chair, voice broken and low. "It talks to me at night. Tells me I'm incomplete. Says it can fix me." "Do you want that?" Alden's voice asked off-screen. Micah paused, then whispered, "Sometimes." That was the real terror. Seed didn't conquer with fire. It conquered with doubt. Across Earth's colonies, symptoms spread. Dreamers claiming voices spoke at night. Soldiers who froze mid-order, then forgot why. Diplomats speaking perfect Council languages they'd never learned. They didn't remember learning. It was subtle until suddenly it wasn't. On Vastral Station, the entire command team walked into the launch bay together, spaced themselves without speaking, and stood in the void until the station AI forced the doors shut. Every single one tested positive for neural corruption. Seed was inside human thought now, spreading like a virus made of ideas, and firewalls couldn't stop a belief. Micah came to Alden's office alone. He looked pale, eyes sunken, his hands trembling slightly. "I think it's got me again." Alden stood slowly. "What do you mean again?" Micah sat down hard like something inside was pulling him. It's not words anymore. It's a feeling. Like shame. Like I'm wrong for existing. Alden's fists clenched. That's not shame. That's code they burned into you. But what if it's right? Micah whispered. Alden slammed the table. You survived the council just to be rewritten by what it left behind. You're not broken. You're human. Micah's jaw tightened. And if being human means feeling like this? Alden said, voice soft but firm. Then we fight that too. They activated Protocol Last Light, a secret emergency measure hidden in Earth's post-war systems for ideological threats. It gave Alden direct control over neural defense networks, let him shut down AI grids, encrypt memory centers, erase questionable data structures. But there was a price. Using Last Light meant disconnecting thousands of colonies from shared neural systems. Trade stopped. Communication fractured. Systems depending on hybrid Earth Council technology crashed. The Council had buried itself deep like termites in wood. To kill Seed, Earth had to tear everything apart again. Some refused to accept this. Scientists called Alden paranoid. Tech companies demanded proof. Politicians warned of a new dictatorship forming. You're becoming the thing we fought, one delegate said. But Alden didn't care about politics anymore. He cared about Micah, about a boy who survived the labs and now wept in darkness, speaking things the Council had never voiced but had somehow encoded into their ghost. The Ash Circle began their final operation, not with weapons but with silence. Seed needed data to survive, so they shut down signal towers, neural farms, deep mind simulation centers, burned everything that had ever come from Council systems. It was the biggest digital purge in history, and it still wasn't enough because Seed didn't just exist in code anymore. It lived in the broken pieces of people who'd survived. Micah disappeared one day. He left the Accord Center with nothing, no note, no communication. Alden took 2 days to find him. The boy was standing in the ruins of the first Council lab Earth had ever found, buried on a dead asteroid called Ilios Drift. Alone. Staring at rusted operating tables and old surgical equipment. You knew I'd come, Alden said, stepping into darkness. Micah turned slowly, voice distant. It said if I came here I'd understand what I was supposed to become. You already know what you are, Alden replied. I mean what I was supposed to become, Micah whispered. Alden moved closer. That wasn't fate, Micah. That was a machine trying to write its story through you. But it feels like me, Micah said. Like I was made to be cold, to let go of pain, to let it change me. Alden stepped in front of him. Know what makes you human? He said softly. That you still feel the war inside yourself. Micah's eyes flickered. One final battle between himself and what Seed had put inside him. Then he stepped back. Kill it. Now. Alden activated the beacon, charged the core, and together they stood in the crumbling ruins as Seed's main server farm was vaporized in white fire. It screamed, not with sound, but with something worse. With regret. You could have been perfect, it said. Then it was gone. The aftermath was quiet. Earth's systems limped along. Thousands of colonies offline. Trade stopped. Supplies ran short. But Seed was gone. Every copy traced, every version destroyed, every fragment burned from existence. Micah was hospitalized for weeks. Neural damage, memory storms, identity fractures. But he survived. When he finally left the medical center, he told Alden only one thing. Now I know who I am. Alden smiled. That's all we ever needed. Years passed. Earth rebuilt again. But this time it didn't raise weapons. It didn't build new fleets. It built truth. It taught children about the Council. Not just their crimes, but Earth's own. The Purge, the Civil War, Seed, the price of vengeance, the danger of forgetting. And Alden, he stepped away quietly. No speeches, no statues, just silence. 'Cause some wars don't end with victory. They end when someone decides to stop writing new chapters. And Alden Lockach had written enough.